Hey everybody! Hope everyone is having a gay old time. And so I say that because yesterday Toronto ended their Pride Week with a huge parade out in the rain, celebrating everybody who is involved in the LGBT community, whether you're an ally or you're trans or you're gay. Everybody, it was just a whole lot of fun and a whole lot of love, and it was a really cool thing to see. It's always a very fun time in Toronto when we're going through Pride. And so today I thought I would just talk about what Pride means to me. And so I'll let you guys know that I am bisexual. I identify as a bisexual. And I've known that for a very long time. I knew when I was in grade 6, I came out to my parents and my sister. But I did have a pretty skewed perspective on the world in terms of things being very black and white, and strongly believing that if you are of religion and faith, then you automatically don't not accept those in the LGBTQ acronym. And knowing that, having grandparents who were very involved in church and a grandpa who was a retired minister, I was pretty set on saying, they won't know, or I won't tell them because then they won't accept me. Turns out my grandparents are more involved in the LGBT community than I am. They were actually in the parade yesterday. They've made my United Church affirming. They're good friends with Kathleen Wynne and her partner, and so they are very heavily involved in the community as well. And it's been amazing to be able to connect with them in terms of advocating for LGBTQ rights and having such a strong support in my family. So I'm very grateful that my coming out story as a bisexual is not like the typical horrific stories that you hear from some other people who end up getting kicked out of their homes because of their sexuality or how they identify. Whether their family is religious or not, it still goes on, and it's a very, very sad thing to hear. So because I had such a positive upbringing around my sexuality, it pushed me more to continue to stay involved and continue to advocate. I was the president of the Gay Straight Alliance in my high school, and that was an amazing experience. It was a really, really great club for me to be involved in, and I learned a ton of stuff from being involved in that club. And really, I connect my coming out story to all my experiences with Pride. So it wasn't until grade 8 that I got a little glimpse of Pride. I didn't really go down for the event. I just went down with a friend to kind of see the aftermath of the parade and people still wandering about in their costumes, or they're not wearing anything, and all of a sudden I'm immersed in this thing as like a 16-year-old recently discovering my sexuality and exploring it and stuff, and kind of feeling like, okay, these are my people, this is where I feel comfortable, but not really knowing where my little pocket was per se, or whatever. And I saw protesters there, which there was kind of the negative light that was shined on it, unfortunately. And then getting to go into high school and have some positivity around it and being involved in the Gay Straight Alliance, like I had mentioned. Unfortunately, going through a couple negative experiences of people questioning my sexuality and having friends who were bullied because of it. And there's high school for you, getting right into the reality and the harsh aspects of life and all of that. But it gave me a really good foundation to work off of after I had left high school and grow from there. And so I then, as I continued to find myself through my sexuality and exploring everything, I then had enough time and courage as well to go down to Pride last year. So that was really my first Pride experience, was last year during World Pride. So luckily, last year and even as I continue, but at least the past recent years for me, I feel like I've really come to find myself more and come to be a lot more comfortable in my skin than I used to be when I first came out. So I think that was the right time for me to go to such a big event of Pride, having be more become more comfortable with myself. And I went to a ton of events last year, a ton of events. I went to art exhibits, went to beach parties and clubs, I went to the parade, and all these things I went to by myself and had an super, super good time. It was one of the best weeks ever for me, and it really solidified my whole journey with my sexuality, and taught me a lot more about all the different, acronyms that is LGBTQ. So that was really cool. So that is when, once I had become more confident in my sexuality, I then was able to go to a huge event that really highlighted all those aspects of what I felt, and I was able to determine, okay, which events do I want to go to and what things I was interested in, and yada, 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 and so on and so forth. And so in this past year, has been crazy and super overwhelming for me. And so this is where we kind of come out to my coming out now. And you guys are going, what? Like, she already came out as bisexual. And yeah, I've been, bi for a very long time. But, this past year, I've learned that there's so many other labels and other letters that are in the acronym, right? And someone doesn't just identify as trans, they might identify as, a couple other things too. So once I started learning about that, I'm sitting down more recently being like, okay, I don't feel like I'm just bi, or I identify as that, or identify just with my sexuality, or, there's a lot more to it, and I'm still learning. I mean, I'm always learning, and I think that's a really, really important thing for our generation to do, is to have their eyes open and to keep absorbing as much information that we can about different cultures and communities and experiences and people's stories, and to really take that all in so that we become much more of a less ignorant generation. I think is really important. But yeah, in terms of now, I guess we're at the end of the video. Sorry to keep you guys because all the interest you wondering what I'm going to say. So I am coming out to the world as gender neutral. So I've identified a very long time as androgynous, and I always felt like that was a difficult thing to explain, and it didn't really encompass everything that I was feeling. It more described my clothing style rather than my actual identity. And so it's going to be not an easy journey from here. I know that because I have some other friends that identify as gender neutral as well. And pretty much it just means that for me personally, I prefer the pronoun they or ze. I don't identify as just a woman or just a man. Kind of identify as both. I'm kind of that middle ground, and I'm still learning a lot about it. So if any of the information that I said was wrong, or you think that there is a different label that might fit me better, or or whatever it is, I'm still learning a lot about the LGBT community. I don't have all the wealth and knowledge. But yeah, and so I would love your guys' feedback, and also all of your respect in terms of trying your best to use the pronouns that I'm comfortable with. I know it's super not going to be an easy thing for me or for anyone else who's in my life and kind of has to change that, but that's that. There is like 10 minutes of me rambling on about gay stuff. Yay, pride. Oh, I know I'm a crazy weirdo. That's probably the first thing that I should have come out to you guys and said is like, hey, I'm coming out as a weirdo. Just thought I'd let you know. And I don't know if really many people are going to watch this, and that's okay too. But I would love for you guys to share this video if you think that it's something that might help somebody else. Obviously, like I said at the beginning of the video, I didn't have the typical coming out story of going through a lot of hardships with it, but I do have a certain amount of experience with the community and with other people, and I'm always wanting to be an ally, an advocate, and help people out in any way that I can. And hopefully, you guys can help me out too as I go through this coming out journeying crazy experience. So that's all, I guess. Oh, that feels so weird to say. See, now I know when I watch all these other videos what they mean by just like this weight being lifted, but holy, like that's, I know I seemed really nonchalant about it, but that's really, really weird. But, whew, yeah. Ah. Oh my god. All right. Well, I will see you guys later.